let's move on to our fifth and final main topic today. And our fifth and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Crazy Joe, who writes, much has been made on Twitter and in the news articles on various websites over the fact that Disney Plus is streaming the first to 20th seasons of The Simpsons in the wrong aspect ratio. Do you think this chatter is enough to convince Disney to change it to the original ratio, or are they too busy swimming in Scrooge McDuck's money to care? All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And for those of you who don't know what the hell Crazy Joe is talking about, and I'm sure many of you don't, here's the basic situation. There are 30 years of The Simpsons that are on Disney Plus, which is one of the big coup d'etats for Disney Plus. I know a number of my friends, not so much interested in The Mandalorian, but they want access unfettered to all The Simpsons. That's a big deal for a number of people. But Simpsons being around for that long, it stretches back into the days when the standard television format aspect ratio was 4:3. The aspect ratio that all televisions were, that when you saw movies in the wider aspect ratio caused the black bar. Why do they put black bars on the bottom and the top? Dad, they don't put black bars. And this is a real conversation I had my dad with many times. Dad, they don't put black bars on the bottom and the top. They're just showing you the entire picture from left to right. And because of that aspect ratio, it just leaves empty space, but they're not putting in black bars. But why do they put in black bars? Never mind, Dad. Never mind. There's a lot of seasons of The Simpsons that are in the 4:3 aspect ratio. Apparently, and I haven't watched it myself, Rob, apparently what they have done now is for even those seasons, because today's televisions are not 4:3. As a matter of fact, there's an entire generation right now that has never had a television that's in the 4:3 aspect ratio, which is odd to think about. Now, granted, not like 25-year-olds, but there is a younger generation that's never had a 4:3 television. And so Disney made the decision to convert the aspect ratios to fit modern televisions. So it would not have, as my dad would say, why they put in the black bars on the left and the right. Dad, they're not putting in the black bars on the left and the right. But anyway, they made the decision to do that. So essentially what's happening is they have stretched out the image. They've broadened the image. They've expanded the image so that it fills from left to right on the television, which does mean that you're going to lose a little bit of the footage off the top and the bottom, because those are going to be pushed off the top of the screen, off the bottom. So you're going to lose a little bit of the image. It's what's going to happen. This, Rob, I didn't think this would be a big deal to anybody. It has become a big deal to several people. There are a number of people online who are very upset by this. And I'm going to tell you right now what my thought on this is, Rob, so it doesn't sound like I'm just trying to mimic whatever yours is. Honestly, and people are going to get mad at me for saying this, it's the right move. It's the right move, and here's why. Here's why. I get it. The purists right now are dialing 911 on the phone. I get it, but here's why it's the right move. Understanding that there's a whole generation of people right now who've never even had 4:3 TVs. Right. It's just going to be very odd and off-putting and awkward to them to turn it on and have it in a 4:3 aspect ratio. And the fact of the matter is that is what today's standard is. That's now, yes, I'm not saying it's no big deal that you lose some. It is an issue. It is an issue that we're going to lose some of the footage off the top and the bottom. But the reality is, if they're serving this up, the majority of their audience, you may disagree with this, and that's fine, but the majority of the audience is going to be more comfortable with a Simpsons episode filling their TV screen. That's just the aspect ratio they're more accustomed to than not. And I'm going to tell you what, I think more people, if you put a nationwide vote on it, I feel pretty confident in saying safely the vote to make it 16:9 would probably defeat soundly those of us who might say we would like it to be 4:3 maintained. I understand the argument. I completely do. And I don't think people are wrong to saying it's a more proper and pure viewing experience of those things to keep the whole picture and to keep it in its original aspect ratio. I'm not debating that. I think you're right. But I think the benefits that Disney sees in doing it the other way kind of outweighs it. Now, I know that that'll make me not very popular, but it's where I can see both sides of the argument, and I happen to lean towards the one. If I'm a Disney exec and I had to vote, I'd say, yeah, I vote to make it 16:9. It's going to make more people happy. But that's just kind of my thoughts on it. Rob, as a guy who's like really invested in and knows a lot about even the technical history of entertainment mediums and things like that, I'm dying to know, where do you fall on this 16:9 versus the 4:3 aspect ratio debate?
For me, okay, obviously my first choice would be to preserve the original aspect ratio always. But like you pointed out, we have a whole generation of people that don't quite understand it. I worked on the Star Trek The Next Generation restoration.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, and it's 4:3. It can't be 16:9, and nobody understood that. At the same time, a friend of mine was working on the X-Files, which the first, I think, 4 seasons were 4:3, and then they moved over to a widescreen aspect ratio to 16:9. They went and they redid the first seasons of X-Files in 16:9 because it was kind of protected for that. So although the filmmakers were not involved, one of the worst television restorations ever was what they did to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. 4:3 show that they completely destroyed when they made it 16:9. My thoughts are the showrunners, are the producers of the show involved? And if they are involved, do they have approval over how the show has been sort of redefined in terms of its aspect ratio? Because are you cutting off a joke? Is there something by recomposing the frame? Are you missing something? A lot of people might not know. If you're not intimately involved with the show, and I know they had done this before. I don't think it was Disney that did this. I think they acquired these masters in already, so it had already been done. But I think, look, unfortunately, especially with The Simpsons, I don't think, and this is going to get me skewered, I'm sure, is it, say, as important as a Terrence Malick movie? Like, I would rather have a recomposed Simpsons episode than, say, Terrence Malick's Tree of Life butchered.
Right.
It really depends. I mean, this is animation where, the edges of the frame aren't necessarily crucial to understanding or to experiencing The Simpsons as it was meant to be seen. But I always think, look, always involve the filmmakers if you're going to do it. And if you're not involving the filmmakers, why? But secondly, just be careful. Put some thought into what you're doing. And I understand, look, sometimes it can be stretched out. If it's blown into, that's one thing. But if it's stretched out so Homer is even wider than he already is.
So it skews the image?
Yeah. So what you're doing is you're literally, you have a 4:3 image, you would zoom in to make it a 16:9 image, but sometimes they pull the image out, like BBC America.
Yeah, and I don't like that.
That's horrifically awful. So I haven't seen how they've done it. I haven't looked, and now I'm going to go home and watch.
Yeah. I got to get on that too. So anyway, that should, but this is one of those things, guys, where I see both sides of the argument, but I do get, if you're Disney, it's going to be, there's a lot of people that are going to find it very off-putting if they turn it on and it's 4:3. Now, we can have the argument about whether they should feel put off by it, but whether they should or shouldn't is kind of irrelevant.
I mean, there's 50 years of 4:3 television. I'm not going to not watch it because it's 4:3.
That's true. But there are some people who won't watch movies just because they're black and white.
Oh, I know. And those people are dead to me. All of them.
You're all dead to me. Anyway, guys, question is, where do you fall on this? Like, honestly, I think we're making a little bit too. I think there's probably going to be a few sight gags here and there that we might lose some of its punch. But over 36 years, is it that big of a deal? I don't know. Maybe it is. Do you guys think we should be taking this more seriously? Do you think we shouldn't be talking about it at all? What do you guys think? Jump down in the comments section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys.